Good morning. Welcome to Morning Hullaballoo. RT Bear here, coming to you live from Hack Shack Studios on a beautiful Monday morning. It's a little rainy here, but it's still pretty. It's still nice. We like the rain. Pamela and I, we lived a lot of years in Southern California, not a lot of rain, so we're enjoying the rain here every time it rains. We don't take it for granted. Sometimes we'll even walk. We'll walk in the rain. Is that romantic? Is that silly? Well, we do it and we love it. All right, man. Well, I hope you guys had a great weekend, and we got a good show for you. It's there's I never know how to really approach these things, but there is kind of this hierarchy conversation going on again in Comicsgate about people not helping other people enough and letting people, like, exposing them to their projects, things like that. And so I want to talk about it a little bit. And I can only talk from my point of view. I can't talk for everybody in Comicsgate, but excuse me. But I can talk from my point of view, and that's what I will do. And also, if you guys haven't heard, I have two campaigns. Count them, two. I have one live. That's Black and White, Volume 3, Sins of the Father. That is live. We are entering into our second week. So we're finishing up the first week, and we're starting our second week probably in about an hour or so. We will go into day 8 with that campaign. And I still have oodles of doodles and other stuff too, which you guys are still backing. Thank you so much. And that is in demand, so not quite as pressing, but we are going to try to get those books out before Christmas. So if you have a comic book fan out there that likes, high-end, art books, and is a fan of Marvel and DC, and maybe even myself, pick that sucker up for you, for yourself or your loved one or whoever. And I hope they enjoy it, because it is 40 years in the making. Everything's long for me. Like Black and White Volume 3 is 30 years in the making, and Oodles is 40 years in the making. I guess when you're old like me, you can say things like that. Like if this was my second year in the business, it wouldn't sound as cool, would it? Like, oh, my second year in the business, and here's my art book. It sounds more impressive when you're like 40 years and you're a grizzled vet like myself. Oh man, we got Crazy Cat, first one in. Oh, you guys, as always, these Hullabaloos are interactive. So feel free to chime in the chat, ask me questions, and we'll have a conversation as best we can, because let's take advantage of this technology where we can hang out and we can share ideas. And that's what this stream's going to be. I really want to hear what you guys have to say about, I guess, just the way CG is run. I guess there isn't really a mission statement per se. There isn't really rules and regulations for Comicsgate. Every I guess publisher or creator has his own or her own way of doing things. And that's also what I like about this. So good morning, Crazy Cat. Good morning, Matt Cisco. What's up? We got Lama Hagante. I hope there it is. Lama Hagante. Lama Hagante. Lama Hagante. How about that? I think that was good. I'm going to pat myself on the back. Good morning, Art. Haven't seen you in a while, Lama. It's good to see you here. We got Leg Kick. What's up, brother? Crazy Cat's using that newly shiny wrench. He's already putting links in the chat. So you guys click that link, go over and back Black and White Volume 3. Do it now. We got Stealth X5. He was the hero of a live stream, I think, a Pontificators the other night. We got heroes in our midst. Crazy Cat, thank you for the Oodles link as well. Robert Doan, I'm better than everyone, and should be treated that way. My mom told me I'm special. Well, if your mom says you're special, it's hard to argue with that, man. I can't argue with that. I heard Katie had to cancel her show today because of a stomach bug. Hope to see you on or with her next week. Yeah, that's the plan, Stan. We got Willie J Draws, EBS and Malin are an anchor around the neck of CG. I don't know. I don't know about that. I think there's always life is always good and bad, and I think people can do the same. I think there's always like great good that people do, and sometimes not so good things. And I'm not saying that those guys are doing anything like that because I really don't know. Um, like I said early, I can only talk from my perspective on things, and so there's things I want to see and hope for, and then there's the reality of the situation. Just to stress, I can't control any of this. Nobody really, for the most part, tries. Early on in Comicsgate, with Mike Miller and Doug TenNapel and stuff like that, especially with Mike. Mike wanted to get some kind of like Bill of Rights or something, not Bill of Rights, but it was like a constitution or something like that. So it would be like basically rules and regulations on how Comicsgate would be, how they would act, what they would do, just stuff like that. I don't know how he was thinking they were going to enforce it. You can't enforce mandates like that. We have no power over each other to do anything. So things like that only work if you have some kind of power over people and you can mandate and control actions of other people. And usually the only way you can do that is to penalize them or to punish them in some way. And Ethan early on, rightly so, said no. I agreed with Ethan. I thought it was kind of a silly idea. I understand where Mike was coming from. I mean, he wanted some kind of semblance of order, of sanity, of whatever, and I understand that. But that's also that's what a controlling person would do. Like they want to control it. But the thing is, the reason why I think Comicsgate works is because it isn't controlled. It's managed by every individual that is part of Comicsgate, but it's not necessarily mandated on high, right? I mean, if you want to be on somebody's show or whatever, I'm sure there are certain hoops and there's certain things that you have to do or that those hosts look for in a guest or somebody that they're going to promote. And everybody has their own set of standards, right? So some people might have very, very crazy high standards and only want certain people on their show because they think it reflects good on them, or they want people on the show that are good interviews, right? That are entertaining. Some people just are open to anybody to give them a leg up, and try to get them a bigger audience so that they can market their books or just let people know that they exist. And it's all the above. Everything gets into a problem. Everything in life is like Republicans, Democrats, all this stuff. Everybody wants to put people in boxes. They want okay, I'm gonna say you're an istophobe, you're a Nazi, you're garbage, you're deplorable. And then everybody that likes this guy, Donald Trump, or voted for Donald Trump, they all get put into that box, right? So then you just it's very childish. It's like, I'm just going to put everybody in that box, so therefore I can judge them based on that, right? So then anybody, no matter who they are, what their real beliefs are, if they're good or bad or indifferent, they get put into that box. And so then they get judged because of that. But life just isn't that way. Like, there are good Republicans, there are bad Republicans, there are good Democrats, there are bad Democrats, right? You could argue the belief system. You could argue their policies and things like that. But the people that vote, the people that like certain candidates, they're so multifaceted. It would be practically impossible to put them in a box, and just say, oh, because you voted this way, then you're automatically this. It really doesn't work that way. I think it brings comfort to some people. It gives them power, because if they can judge people and then they can do those things, then they have some kind of semblance of power over somebody. People do things like this for all kinds of different reasons. But I just want to let everybody know that Comicsgate is based on a lot of individuals. There isn't a policy. There isn't a way of doing things. Everybody that has a YouTube channel, everybody that does what I do, they all do it differently. And there isn't anybody saying you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way. Usually what happens is, if we see success, or if we like the way somebody presents themselves on a live stream or something like that, then we'll emulate it, right? We'll bring it into, our way of conducting ourselves and doing business. That's what we'll do, and that's because we see something that works, right? But if it's not working, most of us understand that would defeat the purpose of what we're doing. You know what I mean? It would get in the way. And one of the things I do remember, there's a lot of different people in the world, and I try not to go, well, I judge this, and that, and the other thing. It just, when I talk about stuff like this, and I always have to emphasize this, and I do it with my wife as well, it's like, I'm not necessarily making a judgment call. I'm just stating a fact, as they used to say, right? So here's an example, okay? Greg Capullo and myself, in about the mid 90s or around that time, we were pretty tight. Like, we did a lot of shows together, and we talked to each other every other day, right? We had fax machines, and I would kind of give him ink lessons and he would give me pencil lessons. A lot of the volume 1 of Black and White, the original, I would send him stuff and he would draw over my little drawings and send them back and stuff like that. So we were pretty tight. He's a musician, I'm a musician, so we would talk, and a lot of commonality. When we would do shows, conventions, things like that, we would sit next to each other. And so there would be, like, I think I was on the left side, so they would kind of come this way. So they talked to me first, and then they'd go over to Greg, because there was kind of a line, right? And so people would go, well, what do you think of my work? And they show me a portfolio and stuff. So I've learned over the years, I would find maybe 2 or 3 good aspects, and then I would find one bad thing that they do, and that's really obvious, that needs work. But I wouldn't, because sometimes you can find a lot of things wrong, so it's harder to find things right. But my whole thing always in life is just to try to be as fair as possible, with people, with everything. So then I would go, oh, this is really good, this is good, this is good, even if it's like just a really minor thing, just to kind of let them know that I'm looking at this and I'm trying to be objective as much as I can, right? So life is a series, like I started, of good and bad. Like, it's all those things, and they're all happening at the same time. Like, from one moment something could be good, and then the next moment something could be bad, and vice versa. Like, that's just how life works, right? It also keeps it interesting, right? So you never know what you're going to get. Like a box of chocolates, that damn Forrest Gump, what a wise man. But anyway, so then I'd find the one bad thing, and then they would move on. And so then Greg was like this. He would just find a lot of stuff that needed work. Like, this is bad, you need to work on this, all of these things. But he very, very rarely would say anything good. And so then I would watch the difference between the person that I talked to and the person that Greg talked to. I would watch their faces. And so one was kind of like, you could see like when you say something good, they're like they get prideful, yeah, and then when you say something like, maybe you need to work on this, that, or the other thing, sometimes they get defensive. Sometimes they just nod their head knowingly, like, yeah, I tried to get away with something, I should have worked a little harder or whatever. But it is what it is. But with Greg, it was one of two things. It was either they would get very mad and defensive, or they would get beat down. And usually what happened would they would get beat up, right? I'm not going to say it was merciless, but it was pretty hardcore, man. And so I always think like, well, if I was a fan, how would I want to be treated? And I have been treated the way Greg, was talking with people. And once again, I just want to back up. I don't care if Greg wants to manage his career that way, he can. I don't care. I'll do my thing. They don't necessarily have anything to do with each other, right? It's just two separate people, two separate points of view, right? But I did mention it to Greg. I said, part of what we're doing here is we're trying to let people know that like we're good guys, like we're doing like some PR for ourselves, like, oh man, I met Greg Capullo, he's a great guy, blah blah blah, and then they go out and they say, yeah, I met Greg and he's this awesome guy. But when you talk to them like that, they're probably not going to say anything nice about you. They're probably going to say Greg Capullo is, he's hardcore, whatever. And maybe the more fair-minded or whatever, they might go, yeah, well, I was pretty far away from the mark, and Greg was trying to help or whatever. And once again, all good. But when I told him those things, he said to me, I don't care. I don't care how they feel about me. And I was like, okay. He said, if I can piss off one person enough that they're going to try harder and they're going to dig down and they're going to take the stuff to heart, then I feel like I've done my job, right? So I can't argue with that. That's just how he wants to manage his career. That's what he wants to do. For right or wrong, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't think it's hurt him. It's just different. And so Comicsgate is kind of that way. Like, that's an example, where there might be somebody that wants to be a little bit more hardcore, more selective who they get on their live streams, who they help, who they don't help. Some might feel like if it's really bad and they have them on their show, it's kind of like they're endorsing that. And they don't want to feel like they endorsed something that isn't good. You know what I mean? They don't want to mislead their audience, because then, the audience might feel betrayed. Oh, well, this guy said that. I went and bought the book and it sucked. Or I went out and bought the book and it never came out, or whatever. So you do have to be a little careful who you get on your show and who you talk to. But for me, I don't look at it as like that I'm really endorsing anybody. I'm just giving somebody a platform or sharing my platform with somebody so that they can talk up their book. It doesn't, I don't think it really reflects on me. I think if you wanted to really dig down and go, oh, Art endorsed this person, the book never came out, or I bought the book and it really sucks. Well, I think that's less on me and more on that person that created the book. Like, why would you be mad at me? Oh, because you told me it was good. Well, I don't think I would tell you it was good unless I felt it was good, right? So if it's really bad, I have somebody on. I'm not going to really say, hey, this book is great, So it really is kind of this line that everybody walks, and everybody has a different take on things. So there are some people, I'm gonna stop talking for just a while and go see what you guys are up to. I see this chat just flying by, and I want to make sure that I'm social. I'm a sociopath. Oh man, there's a lot of people. Um, let's see, a moral, fat 40 ounce. What's up? We got Crazy Cat. There's a lot of hubris from first time amateur creators that they don't have the money, viewership, and clout to establish to clout that established pros do. Well, that could be the case. But the thing is, that's not really fair either, because you could go, oh, I don't have what RT Bear has, but have you put 40 years in the business? You know, if you were 40 years in the business and you didn't have those things, then we could talk. But if it's your first year out and your YouTube isn't that strong and you're trying to build an audience, well, guess what? It's going to take time. There really is no shortcut to it. Even if you work in the mainstream, you still have to prove yourself each and every time. I used to say, you are only as good as your last job. That's it. So you always have to turn in the best work possible at that moment in time. Otherwise, you're not going to work tomorrow. That's it. Is that fair? Well, I don't know. What is fair? Like, silly. Like, what is fair? It just is. Like, why would somebody want to hire you if you were putting out bad work, or if you didn't hold yourself to some kind of standard, or those type of things? They just wouldn't hire you anymore. So everybody has to do these things on some level. It's not that it's not fair. It's not that it's not equitable or anything. It just kind of is what it is, right? Like I'm trying to explain, it's not like people in CG are talking like, well, we're going to share this platform with this guy or that guy or the other guy, and we're not going to with this person. That does not exist. I think maybe, just to be honest, maybe a couple times over the, God, how many years have I been here, has happened. And most of those guys, they're not here anymore, So, I do think that there is some of that, but if you're an amateur, you have to expect that you have to work your ass off. You have to prove you have the talent. You have to prove the worthiness of somebody backing you. You have to prove yourself that you're going to be able to fulfill that campaign. There's a lot of things that you have to do. And if you've never done these things before, there's no track record to back you up. So there's no shorthand way for somebody to trust you. You have to earn the trust. You have to build this stuff. And the only way you build these things is over time. There really isn't any shortcut way of doing it. So if you went on Ethan's tomorrow and you got, one shot at promoting your book, you might get a couple backers, but then that's it, right? It's not going to carry you. It's not going to carry the entire campaign. It's not going to carry you beyond that moment. It's that moment, right? So everything that I get from anybody, like if Ethan promotes me or gives me a moment on the Kings or whatever it is, it's like icing on the cake. I don't expect it. I expect I got to get in front of you guys. I need to do the work. So I need to talk to you guys. I need to earn your trust. I need to let you guys know that I'm a good guy. I'm going to fulfill. I have fulfilled multiple campaigns in the past. I have 40 years in the business. I have a track record. You can look at the books that I've worked on. Also, the great thing about artists is you can look at the work and you can see, you could judge it. You could look at it and go, this is good, or this is bad, right? Or this is something I like versus something I don't like. So it's strange when an amateur or somebody that's a newbie expects the treatment that somebody that's been working in the business for 20, 40 years, right? Or there's also this. There's like most of the guys in Comicsgate all know each other. You know what I mean? And if they don't know each other, they get to know each other. Clint Helinski and myself, or Pedro Ang, or Comic Book Bob, or Todd Mulrooney, or any of these guys, Phil Diaz, Von Klaus, all these guys, you get to know them over the years. You live stream with them, you talk afterwards, you back their book, you see what they're capable of doing, and then it kind of builds this network. So, also build that network, get to know people, be cool, do something out of the ordinary, try to get people's attention, think outside the box. It's a lot of work. I should have grabbed a water. Yeah, I usually don't drink soda in the morning, so I'm going to be riled up, all that sugar, caffeine. Genuine Comics, he knows what it's all about. Hello, Art. Greetings, chat. We got Bob Gable. Willie, are you effing crazy? What did Willie say? Oh, okay, like an anchor. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna say, are you crazy? Like I said, it's all perception. Some people could think it's good, some people can think it's bad. I happen to think that Ethan and John Malin have done way more good to build CG than pretty much any other creator have. And I want to stress, from my point of view, it's just kind of like just defending myself, is I used to try to be everything to everybody, right? That's impossible to do. I can't be everything to everybody, right? So I used to actually reach out to indie creators and say, you want to be on my show, or have conversations or invites. And the thing is, if you want to be on my show, reach out, send me stuff. And I know that some of you have, and I haven't replied and things like that, but I'm getting to my point. My point is, I do what I can do, right? Everybody will take care of themselves first and foremost. They'll take care of their family, they'll take care of their properties, they'll take care of those things. And then if they have time or they have energy or whatever, then they'll go beyond that. And that's that. Some people can do more than others, but to be honest, I just explain it this way. I do what I can. So with the amount of time I have, with the amount of energy I have, all that stuff, I just do what I can. And so some people might not like it. Some people might think, oh, Art doesn't do enough. And that's fine. I'm okay with that. I do try to do as much as I can. And that's it. So if you guys want to be on my show, reach out. And if I don't get back to you, don't get butthurt and take it personally, because it's not. Because I have a series of things I have to do every day. So that is, I'm sorry to say, but those are usually low priorities. I can see them. I'll try to work towards it. But if I can't, then it goes into the next day of priorities. And then usually that day has a series of new priorities. And then those things can get backburnered each and every day. Sometimes not, sometimes yes. I do try to get back to everybody. So if I haven't got back to you, I do apologize, but it's never personal. It's never like, I don't want to talk to you, or I don't like your project, or whatever. That's not the case. So once again, if you want, to get on the show, then reach out to me, and I'll see what I can do. I can't make any promises. I can't do any of that stuff. I can do the best I can do. So I do know Genuine Comics, I think, has been, trying to get on the show. And what I usually have this show called Hacks Chat, and I was thinking it was kind of like show off new comic books, interview new guys, stuff like that. But I think what I might try to do, and I haven't run this by Comic Book Bob yet, but Bob is a big CG guy. Like, he knows pretty much all the books, everything like that. I have to admit, I kind of have my little world, and if things cross into it, then it's on my radar. If not, I don't necessarily go looking for it. So I was thinking having Bob on, and then we could do it as a weekly show, like a weekly spotlight, and we give a couple hours. Like if we can get the people that are working on the book on the show, then we do that. If not, we just take an IP that we like and we talk about it. And maybe we do 2 or 3, for a couple hours, and then that's what we do. And we do it on a regular basis. Those streams usually don't bring in a lot of people though. So, once again, it's kind of like public service. We do these things. They're not always the most entertaining and things like that. So they don't necessarily get a lot of views. So that's also why some people don't do them, is because they just kind of don't bring a lot of people in. But don't call me on it. That's kind of in the works. I always have these ideas, but once again, it's always just ideas. And then the reality is like, okay, you got an idea. It could be a great idea, but now do you have the time to commit to it? For me, that's always the case. No, all Democrats are bad. Back black and white 3 honkies. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about that. I know some Democrats are friends. You can say like the Democratic ideology or belief is bad, but not all the people. Like not all the Democrats are bad. You could say it's a flawed party. You could even say it's the party of slavery or whatever you want to say. But I don't think it's fair to say the people, just because they back a certain party, are bad. Sorry, Marcus. Paul Taylor, I'd rather not make everything about politics, but the left forced everyone, to be more forthcoming about it. Yeah, I was always that way. Most people would rather just go about their lives and try to get along with everybody. That's how I was, but life kept kind of pushing me from the middle to pick a side. And I did pick a side for sure. All right, well, let's get into this. Black and White, Volume 3, Sins of the Father. It is the campaign of all campaigns. You will not find a better book in the world than Black and White. That is my promise. Here's the video. Woo! Let the judging begin. All right, you guys. Well, that is Black and White, Volume 3, Sins of the Father. We just last night we turned over 15,239. We got 186 backers. 200 backers would be a nice round number, and maybe get up to 16 today. That would be absolutely amazing. So sometimes this stuff's doable, you guys. And just as far as judging, like right now, you guys are judging this campaign. You're seeing if it's something that you want to invest your money into, if you think the art is worth it, if you think the story is good enough, all that stuff. So, we all do this stuff. We all gatekeep and we all judge. So I'm going to read this because I think this is a pretty good write-up. Sins of the Father. Instead of a much needed vacation, see volume 2. Black and white are up to their necks in strange happenings. There is only an empty coffin where the body of Reed's father should be. Sickness overtakes Gray, and a beautiful but deadly voodoo priestess is making zombies right, left, and center. This new adventure from the evil genius that is me will send our heroes into the world of voodoo nightmares and a murderous immortal that has hated the Blackets for centuries. Lord Fake will stop at nothing to wipe the Blackett lineage from the face of the earth. So volume 3 is written by me, Aaron Sparrow, and Pamela T. Bear, with action-packed breakdowns done by the awesome Alan Patrick, who did the 4-page epilogue in volume 2, with dazzling finishes by me and beautiful colors by Brian A. Mag. This 64-page graphic novel is one you'll want in your library of comics. Also, you guys, this is part 1 of a 2-parter, which I should probably put on the cover, part 1. So the way I've been doing this, like volume 1 and 2 are part 1, part 2. So it just kind of works out that way, where 64 pages, 2 64-page books actually get me the page count that I need to tell the stories I want to tell. So that's kind of how it's working out. So we will do a volume 4, and it will be, around that 64 pages as well. So I do have a story outlined for that. I am looking for a new writer. So if there's anybody out there, send me your resume. I'll look it over and see if we can get going on volume 4, because I do realize that I need to start overlapping a lot of this stuff. And that's why I'm working with Alan to help out, and Aaron Sparrow to help out, to try to move things a little faster. We are 23 pages into this book already, you guys. So a third of the book is already done as far as pencils and inks. We have 6 pages of colors. And so we're getting there, you guys. We're getting there. We're only a week into the campaign. So I think we're doing pretty good. So also we have 2 books in this campaign, 2 brand new books. So we also have the High Octane Adventure. This is the animated style book done by Pedro Ang. We had volume 1, or issue 1, that we did really, really well with. So Pedro liked working with me. I liked working with Pedro, and you guys liked the book. So we're going to do another one here. And this cover is done by me in kind of a pseudo Pedro Ang style. So I really had a lot of fun drawing this cover. The original artwork is for sale. If you guys are into that, you can pick that up. And yeah, so this is a 22-page one and done. So the good thing about the High Octane Adventures is they are one and dones. So no big, storylines. You can kind of get in, enjoy it, get out, kind of thing. So here's some of the interiors done by Pedro. Pencils, inks, colors by Pedro, along with the writing. So Pedro and I worked out the story, but it's pretty much he's executing it. So we got 4 jaw-dropping covers, you guys. So you can choose from the main cover, which is A, the B cover, which you guys have spoken. You guys love this cover, and I'll get into that because that book is outselling everything. And so then we got the Carlo Barberi, who's my brother from Mexico. And we love working with each other. We loved working with each other at DC Comics and Super Sons. So I asked him if he'd do this. Within a day, I had sketches. Once I okayed that sketch, I had the drawing the next day. So he's very enthusiastic about black and white. So I'm very, very pleased to have his artwork in this campaign. And I think he just nailed it. Such a great image for black and white. And then we have the D cover, which I will be announcing pretty soon. We're getting closer to that. So you guys are going to love the guy that is going to do the D cover. And so then here's a better image, a bigger image of that B cover. Pencils by me, inks by me, and colors by the great Kyle Ritter. I always love when Kyle says yeah, and then he never just says yeah. He goes, oh yeah, I'd love to. You know, a chance to work on black and white, hell yeah. So he's always very enthusiastic, and I like that. Here's a better image of the Carlo Barberi and my inks. His pencils, my inks. Just I love this image. I still can't. I mean, it's so iconic. Yeah, I love when this stuff happens. Original cover artwork. So we have we have 3 of the covers left. The B cover sold. So we still have the main cover. We have the Carlo cover, and we have the high octane cover. And then we have this 11 by 17 full bleed poster of Juju, the Valdoon Priestess. And that only comes with the jam. So the jam tier is everything that's in this campaign. So all the variants, the both high octane books 1 and 2, and 1 and 2 of the black and white story, which we were calling it the Origin Saga, or a Man versus Machine story arc. So you can get all of that with that that jam. And so then we have cool stretch goals. Hopefully we can get there. And when we get there, you're going to get all kinds of cool stuff, trading cards, stickers, a lot of 30th anniversary stuff like patches, pins. And then, of course, we're going to upgrade the book with cool cover stock, paper stock, and UV coating. So once again, you guys, this is the 30th anniversary of Black and White. So help with the celebration. You know, if you've already backed it, please get the word out on your social media, especially if you have an Instagram and Facebook, because I got hacked and I lost my Facebook and my Instagram. So I don't have, pretty much all I have is Twitter to advertise on. So I would greatly appreciate any kind of help there. So let me come to the chat. I'll come back to the chat. We'll connect, and then I'll go back to the campaign because I want to share the tiers with you guys. Yeah, here is Genuine Comics Perfect 10. I love the artwork, and I saw like you had, well, yeah, I saw that you had a sculpt of the main character. Looked pretty cool. Like it was in character. The drawing, and I can't remember the sculptor, but he nailed it. I've been talking to him about doing a black and white sculpt as well. It's a little complicated, so I'm not sure. You know, I don't really have the time right now to do anything outside of what I'm doing. So these things go in demand. So what I'm hoping is once things kind of settle down here, that I'll be able to move that forward and get some killer black and white sculpts for you, like statues. That would be great. I'm reminded of the movie Whiplash with J.K. Simmons. He was an ass as the ultimate nightmare perfectionist of a teacher. Simmons says in the movie that the next great artist would never be discouraged. Yeah, I mean, different strokes, different folks, right? So I think you're kind of talking about Greg Capullo because, you know, I usually jump around in these things. And like I said, I don't judge these things. I have no skin in the game. I don't care. I say what I say. And if somebody wants to take it to heart and use that information to help them, fine. If not, I don't really care. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it as like, I don't care. I'll say it, you know. It's not that I don't care about you. I just don't care about that moment in time. I don't care. You know, it doesn't, other than just saying it at the moment, it doesn't really mean that much to me. I'm not one of those guys that feels like I have to change somebody's mind or argue with them on that level, because you're free to do whatever you want. So if you do something good, you're going to reap the rewards of it. If you're going to do something bad, you're probably going to get penalized for it. Life will fuck you over or praise you. It'll do it on its own. I don't have to do it to you. I used to tell that to my daughter too in school. She goes, this person did this. I go, you know what? That person will ultimately pay the price for that personality flaw. You know, if they're bullies, they're going to reap the rewards of it and they're going to pay the price for it. It's just that simple. I don't think anybody gets out of life without those things happening. I know that we got SJWs and we got some people that are trying to change things, you know, to make them more equitable or fair. We don't all start on the same platform. So some people need to be raised up so that they can ultimately get to the same destination. That's all bullshit. Life is not fair. It never has been and it never will be. But for every advantage this person might have, this other person might have an advantage as well. So it all evens out in time. Like if you have somebody that's great at math but sucks at sports, and then you know is ridiculed because they're not a good soccer player in school, you know, and that good soccer player is like criticizing, you're never going to be a good soccer player, you're not going to make the team, blah blah blah. Then it's like, okay, in some way that person did you a favor, because life will push you in the direction you should be going in. Sometimes it's not, sometimes it's cruel, but life will push you in the direction you should be. So if that guy's good at math, at some point, he's going to realize he sucks at soccer. You can play it as a hobby. You can be a fan of the sport. You can do all those things, but you're never going to be a soccer player, right? You just aren't going to be that. But you may be a great mathematician. You know what I mean? You may have a career waiting for you that way. And that soccer player, you know, maybe he'll go off to be a pro, or maybe he'll max out in high school and then he'll have to figure out what he's going to do with the rest of his life, because being good at soccer in high school doesn't mean anything in the real world. You know what I mean? So these things are all like, they're all pluses and minuses, and they all happen at the same time. You know, everything isn't just all one thing or all the other. So, so if you want to be that kind of hardcore perfectionist, fine. And if somebody wants to be taught by you and have that kind of pressure put on them, fine. That's a decision people make. As long as you're not being forced or coerced into making those decisions, then it's fine. As long as you freely entered into that equation, that is cool. Like in that movie Whiplash, like if that drummer didn't want to be part of that program, he didn't have to be. He could have walked away, you know? And there's a scene in that movie I think is absolutely ridiculous, where the kid's, his hands are all bloody and shit like that. Like at some point, practicality clicks in, right? So yeah, you do get blisters. And yeah, if you keep playing, that skin's going to rub off and it's going to be raw skin and you're probably going to bleed. But, and I know it's a movie and I know it's exaggerated and, you know, they got to make it dramatic, but there's no way anybody would do that to themselves freely, because he knows he can't play tomorrow. He can't practice the next day. He can't play the drums after that. If you jack your hands up so bad that you can't hold a drumstick, what's the point? You know? And if you're that obsessed about it, then you've missed the point too. So once again, I know it's not real, but you know, it is what it is. Let me see what Crazy Cat says. Do you ever feel that it's legitimate danger, Art, demoralizing or discouraging a potential great artist? It is an interesting psychological debate. All right. That is a great question. All right. Walden Wong, he says when he was nobody at a convention, I took him aside and I spent like 20 minutes, a half hour talking to him about inking, things like that. And I don't remember it, to be honest. Not that it was bad or anything. I just don't remember it. And he said, you were so cool. It encouraged me. I really wanted to keep inking. I wanted to be better. I wanted to strive. And he said, thank you. And I've had a few other people that have done that. Like in my career through Hack Shack Studios wasn't just an inking studio. I taught people as well. It was a school. They didn't pay for it. I paid them. Everybody that came through that door made money, no matter what level you came in at. So everybody worked, everybody got paid. Some people got paid more, some people got paid less. But the people that came out of the studio, Trevor Scott, who was the first ink hire that Jim Lee made when he started Wildstorm. Danny Mickey, first hire at Extreme Studios, well, maybe second hire at Extreme Studios that Rob Liefeld made. And the reason both those guys is because they knew me and they knew that we did quality work. And so, and both those guys were exceptionally cool with me. They asked me, is it okay? These guys made an offer. And I was like, sure, because I understand everybody needs to move on, right? So I'm not going to stand in anybody's way. I'll train somebody else. And I did. So Jaime Mendoza came out of that studio. Larry Stucker came out of that studio. John Sabal, not so much Hack Shack Studios, but I worked with him at Extreme Studios. You know, what was it? Tim, oh my gosh. I forgot his name. He inked Joe Mad on a lot of stuff. He came in on my Spawn when I was working with Greg Capullo and Spawn. I needed a background guy. So Tim was brought in, Townsend was brought in to work on backgrounds. I do believe that was his first professional work, you know, and also he ended up working at Extreme Studios because he came to California to work with me, and he ended up working out of the studio as well. So, you know, I know there's a bunch of other people that I'm probably missing. Andy Owens, just a ton of people. And the thing is, I always try to do that same thing where you accent the positive and then you bring in like things that they could work on, right? So there's always kind of this balance of stuff. So you're encouraging at the same time you're saying work on this, work on that. Sometimes it would be harder, you know, if they screwed up, you know, it might be pretty hardcore. I'm not a saint, you know. I would yell, or I would like, how could you do this? You messed this up or whatever. But you know, I think it all kind of balances out. So I think that life is just a series of give and take. And so it's best to kind of try to think that way, not all one way or all the other, because life just really isn't that way. It isn't that way. So we got Joe Bernardo. Aloha, Art. What's up, my friend? Good morning, Cam. Did I see? Oh, there's Cam. I skipped right over you. Good morning, Art and chat. Good morning, Cam. We got Nicholas. Is it Gear or Jeer? I've been creating comics for 4 years now as a hobby. I should be a millionaire by now, but RT Bear is holding me back. I sure am. You know, and the thing is, you guys, I started in the independents too. Like I started working on like drug comics, underground comics. They were the only ones that would give me a break, right? So I worked with Larry Martyr and Jim Valentino and Renegade Press. You know, Renegade Press was Denny Lobert, and she was married to Dave Siribus. You know, so those are the guys that I broke in with, pot smoking, you know, druggies, mushroom taking. You know what I mean? And the thing is, I worked independent for the first couple years, and then, you know, I had my own place. I was trying to make it on my own, and then the paychecks weren't coming in steadily. They were cheating me on payment, and so I realized I'm not going to be able to stay here. I probably would have stayed there. I was also talking to Denny about doing create your own projects for Renegade Press. So I was happy there, you know. But I started talking to some other people and say the only place you're going to get a steady paycheck is the mainstream, Marvel and DC. So I had never really actively thought about that. And so I put a portfolio together and I started working towards that. And so that's how I got into the mainstream. It was more or less to get a steady paycheck. But I do know what it's like to pay my dues. I do know what it's like to work independently and not get paid, uh, and be exploited. And sometimes it's not even like people are trying to hurt you. It's just the reality of the situation. Excuse me. There isn't any money. Just that simple. So no, it's not fixed. I don't think it will be fixed. I think my Instagram and Facebook are gone, even though Andy Smith says it's still there, but I can't do anything with it. So I can't post or anything like that. I've sent messages to them, asked them, you know, stated my case. Nobody's got back to me. Everybody I've talked to about that, they said that most of that stuff is just PR to make you think like that they care, but they're not going to do anything about it. Which makes sense because just think about the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that use those platforms. They can't attend to everybody, so I understand that. So I'll probably start up a new Facebook account, Instagram when things settle down. But right now, I really don't have the time. I'm trying to get the book done and promote Black and White. So Citizen Roner says, Art is a good guy and an OG around here. People forget that. He's also a fantastic artist. Thank you, citizens. I do appreciate that. Art of Roy. Art, these wannabe artists will use your positive, negative crits as endorsements to their buddies and possibly editors. So yeah, better to not even give creds a direct them to editorial or writers instead. Yeah, you know, it's all the above. It's all the above, you know. Once again, I try not to get too invested in anybody else's drama or anybody else's life. I have my life. I have my family. I have my immediate friends, you know, so that's kind of my priorities are all there. So if I can help somebody outside of that, I will. But if it takes away from those things, then I have to look after my own first and foremost. And to be honest, that's how most people are. People that expect something from you, they act like that's not how the world works. Well, that is how the world works. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody owes you a spot on their YouTube channels. Nobody owes you an endorsement. If anybody gives that to you, like I say, it's icing on the cake, but you shouldn't expect it. Always have gratitude. All success books that I've read, all the successful people I've talked to, they said gratitude. Gratitude also gets you by those bad times when things are bad, that you can give gratitude no matter how bad the situation is. You know, there's this book that we used to read to our daughter, you know, before bed. And I love the book. And I sent it, well, I went to California and I brought the book with me and I read it to her. And it was called It Could Have Been Worse, right? So it's this little mouse and this bad thing's happening to him, right? But he's like focused on that bad thing. He's like, oh, this sucks, man. The world's horrible, right? He doesn't say those things. Those are my words. But then there's this like cat that's trying to kill him. But then because of whatever was there, stopped the cat from killing him, right? So he never saw that big or bad. He only saw what was in front of him. So he never understood how lucky he was that that thing happened, right? And that's how we all are. And so the book just has a series of events like that. And then the thing is like, it could have been worse, right? So that's always it would come back to, it could have been worse. So I love that book. And I thought it would help her again in her adult life. You know, just always remember, it could have been worse, right? You have no idea what bullet was dodged, you know, when you got into that car crash or whatever the hell it was, right? It always seems like it's so monumentally bad. And sometimes it is. I don't mean to diminish, you know, those things. Sometimes those things are absolutely horrific and you cannot find anything good in it, you know. But sometimes even those really bad things, it could have been worse, right? So, you know, we got Kino. Good morning. We got Bob Gale says, how long have you known John? He is a monster. Then say he is. He the monster they say he is. I didn't remember meeting John for the first time. He reminded me, and these are those things like I don't really have a great memory to begin with, but I was working with Image Comics. I used to live, well, the studio was in Orange County, and Image Comics was in Orange County as well, so it was close. So I was publishing Chrono Mechanics, the first issue, and I was going to bring Black and White there as well. So I was talking to Stevenson, Eric Stevenson, and so he's like, yeah, you know, great, whatever you need, whatever you want, we'd be happy to publish these books for you. So then we started moving forward, and so I was working with production at Image Comics, and John was one of the production guys, and I don't remember John as John. I remember this cool guy that was very accommodating and wanted the best for this property that we were working on. So I think he was doing the production on the book, things like that. And so one day he went above and beyond. I think he brought the proofs to the book over to the studio. And I think he wanted to see, you know, Hack Shack Studios and all that other stuff, what we were doing and all that. But it was amazing, you know. So he came by and we talked, we hung out. I showed him the studio. I basically I remember like the broad strokes, but I don't really remember like what he looked like or what is, you know. I remember he was a very down to earth guy. He was very accommodating, and he wanted the best for Chrono Mechanics. So I do remember all those things. And so like I said, I was talking to him when he joined CG, and we used to go on Mike Miller's stream a lot in the early days. And we were talking, and he said, you don't remember me? And I said, I'm sorry, I don't. He goes, I worked at Image Comics. I was the guy that came over to your office and brought the proofs and did whatever. And I was like, oh shit. You know, I remember the broad strokes, but I don't remember the specifics. And I go, oh my gosh, that was you. And so that's how John and I met the first time. And then we kind of got reacquainted through CG in the back rooms, you know, like before the live stream. Sometimes you talk. Sometimes it gets personal in the live stream. And then after, you know, the live stream, you know, you can kind of talk for a while and get to know each other. So I always liked John. John, and I don't know if, I think John has said this on live streams, he's not necessarily the same guy on a live stream that he is in real life. Like, it's kind of a character. And I remember when I was having a hard time just doing live streams, because, you know, I mean, we're kind of introverted. When we draw, we're in a room by ourselves, and we don't really interact that much with people. And so doing these live streams was really kind of strange for me. You know, I do have, like, you know, I was a musician, I played on stage and things like that. But even as a drummer, you're kind of behind things. You're not like right out in front. So even though I have stage, you know, experience, it's a little different, right? So I am a performer, I do have that element in my personality. And so what he said is, he said, I don't look at that guy necessarily as myself. I look at that as a character that I'm playing. And so if you've ever heard David Bowie talk, when David Bowie was having a hard time on stage and stuff, he said the same thing. He said, I started looking at that guy on stage as not me, but as this other person. So this other person was able to do these things that I wasn't able to do. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting take, that John Malin that you see is kind of a character. He's not John Malin. It's like Mange is obviously, that's not Shane Davis. That's a character he's playing, right? And even Cecil, on some level, is playing a character, you know. And like Ethan, at times, it's not necessarily, you know, Ethan. It's kind of this heightened version of Ethan, you know. So we kind of have these personas that sometimes are a little larger than life, but it also makes things interesting, like things that John maybe wouldn't say in his real day-to-day life, he'll say on a live stream. But I just want to be clear, like, I'm not making excuses. I'm not saying that it's good or bad. I'm just saying that I thought it was interesting that he said that. And on some level, I try to think that way, but I'm not quite that. Like, I'm not going to say crazy, ridiculous things, because I understand this is Art T. Bear, you know, and this is a reflection of my points of view. And also, if I'm going to be in this culture war, in this battle, I think I have to be sincere. But giving yourself permission to not necessarily be yourself and to kind of go outside of yourself to do what you need to do isn't a bad idea. And I remember talking to some of my professional friends, and they were like, why would you do that? You know, you're the brand, you got to be sincere, you got to be these things. So once again, just like the theme of everything, people can do and they can think and they can manage their business however they want, right? I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. I don't like to frame things up always as good and bad. It just kind of is. So if it works for one guy, but it doesn't work for another, that's fine. Not everything has to fit into this one specific box of how to do things. So I don't think John is a monster. I think John has a good heart. I think John genuinely wants to do good by Comicsgate. But also, the thing is, I think sometimes you can want things too much. And then if you want things too much, an outcome or something, then you can get disappointed when it doesn't happen. Like, I've learned over the years of working in this business, is like, people will promise you a lot, but don't necessarily give it to you. So you have to learn to manage your expectations, right? Don't get too excited, because the chances are that it's not going to happen is great. So you have to manage your expectations. But some people have a harder time, or with certain things, they have a harder time. Like, my daughter is still in that phase. Like, she has these expectations, and when those things don't happen, she gets hurt. You know, she gets emotional about it. And so I think that comes with like age and just learning that to manage your expectations. I always look at it this way. If something good comes out of it, that's icing on the cake. Just don't expect it to happen, right? I use this analogy, okay? You're at the supermarket, somebody opens the door for you, holds the door for you, right? That's icing, right? They didn't have to do that. They did a kind act for a complete stranger, right? Pay it forward, you do it, right? But if that guy doesn't open the door or doesn't hold that door for you, don't get pissed off, because he didn't have to, right? The guy that holds the door for you, that's the exception. That's not the rule. The rule is every man for himself. You're out in public. If they don't want to hold the door open for you, they don't have to. But if they do, that's when you get excited. That's when you go, oh man, that guy's a cool dude, right? Or whatever. Or you go through life and you think, oh, well, you know, that was a nice act that somebody did that didn't have to, you know, complete stranger. So I do think it's just managing expectations. And when you have expectations, you can be hurt. And you can be hurt bad depending on what your expectations are. It's like caring too much. Like if you care too much, you can be hurt. So, and sometimes people, and I'm not saying that John is this. I'm not. I'm just kind of going, yeah, because I don't want to be guys. John's a really caring guy. I'm not necessarily saying that. I'm just saying that, sometimes these things can come out of that. Sometimes people can seem very, very aggressive or guarded. And the reason they're very aggressive and guarded is because they're very kind by nature, because they get hurt. So then they put up this facade. So people don't get to them. So it's all the above. It's all good. To me, John is Comicsgate. Like John is kind of the heart and soul. Like he and Ethan are the 1-2 punch. I was there, and I get thrown into that just because I was there early on, but I didn't necessarily do as much heavy lifting as those guys did. I always thought like I was probably more, the heart of Comicsgate, and you guys have said that, or the sanity. I just try to bring some kind of semblance of like, I don't know, just to where things aren't so crazy. I try not to feed into it or feed off of it. Oh, speaking of new graphic novels, I saw you commented on my preview page. Thanks. Hey, no problem. Once again, I do what I can. Cam1138. I don't think anyone has any obligation to anyone. Any promotion is appreciated. I also don't think this is the problem. Oh, well then please tell me what you think the problem is. Because once again, I kind of stay out of things. So I only catch, the peripheral of things. You have a life. I'm offended. Exactly. Exactly. Let's see. Art of Roy says, best and only advice I've ever gotten and taken from an artist was Bob McLeod, who told me, take an old comic and redraw some pages so you already have story and layout. You just have to execute the art. It's all good. I've gotten a lot of different pieces of advice over the years. Some things connect, some things don't. And some things will get through to certain people and some things won't. It just is what it is. They're not bad, just kind of dumb. Darren Wagner says, the American left politicizes everything, even the weather. It used to be you could have a conversation about weather with anyone. Not so much anymore. Yeah, because if you have odd weather, you can't go, man, it's just kind of unseasonal. They go, global warming. It's man's, pollution and footprint, that's destroying stuff. It's like, well, okay. You say so. Mortal V says, get in, get out, and enjoy it. Yeah. Giggity, giggity, giggity. Okay. That's awesome. Everybody has different gifts. Yeah, exactly. And we share it with each other and use those gifts to benefit mankind, no matter what it is. Like I used to work on mechanics and install my own, car parts, rebuild, just do stuff, install, stereos in my car, speakers, all that stuff, and but I was never really any good at it. But I had friends that could do it, and when I was younger, I just thought, oh, okay, whatever, but now I look back and I think there are people that have gifts, right? They can fix cars, they're intuitive with it, or computers, or whatever it is. Those are gifts. So if you have those, share those with your fellow man. Get out there, share them. My gift is I can draw, I can tell stories. So that's what I do. and that's it. Greetings, yeah. Tied to your arms, tied to my arms. I don't know what that means. Yeah, you want to learn more? Go to Oodles. Oh my gosh, I'm way behind in the chat. Yeah, Tim Townsend. Toy fanboy, my kind of people. Okay, let me see. Danky Frankie says, back in the Hack Shack days, if an inker screwed up, art would go full mirror, mirror. Your agonizer, please. Is that a reference to something? I don't know what that is. No, I would just backhand him. I would just hit him as hard as I could. But I never used my fist. I just used the backhand because that's acceptable. Speaking of inkers, Jimmy Reyes. Jimmy Reyes. What is this, Art? You need to turn off your two-step verification to reset your email. Bosch Foston just went through this. You need to turn off your two-step verification to reset your email. My email works. My computer is working now, so I'm on the main computer. So I actually had a friend that he's very computer savvy, and he came over on the weekend and he fixed everything. So this is the new computer. This is the new setup. So everything's working good at this point. Go ahead and create new accounts for Facebook and Instagram, Art. I still can't figure why Ethan doesn't utilize Instagram to sell his toys. They would do well there. Yeah, when Instagram started, oh my gosh, I love that platform. But once Facebook bought them, like the algorithm shifted, and I don't like that platform as much anymore. And also, everything has to fit into a box. You can't change the format. So sometimes, like if it's a cover, it'll edit a lot of the cover out. Joe Bernard says, usually you can get recovery of your account on Facebook if you send them a message about it. I did, and they never got back. Art is normal. It's abnormal to get too caught up in other people's dreams. Drama, not dreams. Yeah, actually, that was pretty well said. Thank you, Frankie. Attitude of gratitude. Yes. Live with an attitude of gratitude, and the universe will give you more things to be grateful for. I agree. Sean says, amen, amen, brother. If you guys have not subscribed to Sean and Jetty's YouTube channel, go do that. Click those links and back his new book. The dude is a freaking genius with color. And he's just a freaking killer dude. He's a killer dude. Randy Howell, yeah, over a long career, you meet a megaton of people. I remember a lot of faces, but names. Yeah, I'm the same way. I usually remember faces, but names. And sometimes, like when I was doing a lot of commissions and I meet people at shows and stuff, if like say I was in Dallas and I did a series of drawings and then I came back around like 6 months, a year later, and those same people came up, I could see them, I'd recognize their face, and I remember their commission. I could do that, but I wouldn't remember their name. Art Big leaguing John. John's good. He's a major talent. I think you guys are talking about John Malin. I agree, he's having fun. I think so too. General Piggy, what's up? Hell, my friends. Yeah, what's up? I think Cecil's character is closer to real life. But you know, if you go back, I think Cecil is more Cecil now. But if you go back, like when Cecil started, it's more of a caricature for sure. K Plan 1142 Happy face. Crazy Cat says, I can only imagine what the pros at DC think when they see Shane Davis in mange mode. I never thought about that. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. They're probably jealous as all get out. Okay, Crazy Cat says the TV show Entourage. I should go back and watch those. I heard nothing but good things about Entourage. I've never seen any of the episodes. Was very good about that. Smooth talkers with no real power. Movie projects that are full steam ahead, then just collapse and go bust for some arbitrary reason. That's why I don't like Hollywood. I've been at those meetings. Everybody says yes. Oh, we love it. We love it. Yes, 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 yes. And then nothing happens. I remember I was I don't really have a high tolerance for bullshit. I really don't, right? So there's it was an animation company called Calico, I think. They did the Zorro cartoon. They did some cartoons in the mid 90s, right? And they did a lot of like advertising and commercials. So my agent, who actually owned the animation company, brought me in to meet with some of the executives and some of the main animators, right? And so I don't know why he set this up. I don't. But anyway, we're talking. I'm talking to like the head guy that heads the animation division, and he's like, this will never work. Black and white will never work. Guns don't work. And I said, what do you mean? Like, because the violence or whatever? And he goes, they just don't work. You can't really animate them. And so I said, well, these are non-lethal guns. So I think it would be interesting to show non-lethal weapons in a cartoon animated show for kids, that there's other ways you don't have to kill people. So I think that's a good message. He goes, well, you just can't animate it. So I said, I know enough about animation. I mean, look at these John Woo movies, like whatever gunplay movies of the time. You can break an entire gun sequence down frame by frame. You could do it back then in the 90s, and you can study how gunplay is done, and then you could just animate based on that. And he's like, it doesn't work. And he kept, like, everything I would say, he would say it doesn't work. And then I finally said, because I don't, you're blowing smoke up my ass, and you're doing it in front of the guy that owns the company and who's my agent, right? I have to save face here. If I'm going to move forward with an animated show, this is what the characters do. I have to defend this, right? And so I didn't care at that point. And I said, what I'm hearing is you can't do this animation. Not that it can't be done, is that you can't do it or you don't want to do it. And he goes, that's not the case. And I said, then why can't we do it? Why can't we do it? You didn't give me any real clear reasons why we couldn't do it. You didn't say people don't like guns. We've done research. You haven't done any of those things. All you say is that you can't animate it, you know? And so at moments, I just kind of had this breaking point where I just can't stand some of the Hollywood bullshit and people just going, yeah, you're right. It's like, no, you're wrong. You can animate this stuff. Somebody can. You can't, or you don't want to. And so I'm still proud that I did that. And then I do remember finally talking to my licensing guy who owned that company. And I said, this is your company, right? He said, yeah. And I said, why can't you just greenlight this animated show? Why can't we just do it? All it would take is for you just to greenlight it. And he said, that's just not the way it's done. And I said, well, how is it done? He said, we need to set up licensing, and licensing will pay for the animation. And I said, could we not put a killer trailer together and then use that as a selling point to these toy companies, licensing? And it also shows that you're willing to put money on the line, that not only do you have the licensing to black and white, but you also have this animation company. So you're showing them that you're willing to put money on the line. You're willing to invest in this thing, not just some sucker that signed the dotted line and gave you licensing. Well, I didn't give him licensing rights. I gave him rights to set licensing up. He did want full licensing rights, which I never gave him. And that pissed him off. And he said, well, I'm willing to pay for them. I said, no, I don't want to sell them. You can represent me and we can make money off of it, but I'm not going to give you any rights. And so, we did that, but he could have done it at any time. He had it in his power to do these things. And so that's sometimes just the level of BS that I hate. I forgot how we got into that, but these tangents are always fun. Oh, smooth talkers, entourage. Yeah. These guys aren't as smooth as they think. The only reason sometimes is the bullshit factor, right? So if you have a powerful guy that's running an animation company, right, and he says things to you, most people won't talk back because he's a powerful person. So they won't tell you how they feel about it. They won't be contrary to this person, even if they're 100% wrong. They'll just go with it because they feel that they don't want to close that door. But the thing is, I don't have a lot of patience for it. You know what I mean? Like my thing is, if black and white isn't self-evident, if I can't show you that campaign, and based on everything I'm showing you, and you can't see the merit in it, then you don't see the merit in it. That's that, right? If I try to bully you into it, or I try to coerce you in some way that's dishonest, then you might do it, but then you're going to regret it, or you're not going to like me in the long run anyway. So I still think honesty is the best policy, and I just hate that Hollywood like yeah, we can do it. And then when you push them, they're not going to do it. So I figured out with Hollywood, they never want to be that guy. They never want to be that guy that says no to the Matrix. They never want to be that guy. So then they always keep that door open. So if something happens, they can always open it wider and bring you in. But if they say absolutely no, then they shot themselves in the foot. So they can never go back on it. So I think it's just kind of a weaselly move to kind of always keep things in play and make you think that they're in play when they're really not, and that's that. The great Art Malin feud began with a comment on Art's Morning Hullaballoo. I got it. It's a joke. Crazy Cat says, sweet, sensitive emo John, always being hurt because he wears his heart on his sleeve. No, that's not what I'm saying. Sean says, yes, Crazy Cat. Hibbity jibbity. All right. Well, I wanted to go over the tiers with black and white. You guys, we got to 15K, which makes me really, really happy. So we're sharing right now. Let's go back up to the top. Take me to the top. That's a Motley Crue song. Take me to the top. All right. We are 186. We got 239 as far as our total. Well, 15,239. We got 54 days left. So let's see. Let's put this here. The featured, you guys, we've got 21 claimed. This is all the books, the new books for this campaign. So the 3 variants, the main A, the B, and C, and the high octane 2. So don't let this fool you. We've had a ton of add-ons, and there's a lot of high octane adventures that are in combo tiers. So these are doing pretty well as well. The add-ons, I think it does add to the total, but it doesn't really show in the tiers themselves. So black and white, volume 3, main cover A, we got 26. That's impressive, but look at this. Cover B is 43. I think you guys have spoken which cover you like the best. All right, let's get this one up. We got variant cover 3. This is the Carlo Barberi cover with my inks. Let's see if we can get a little bit more love. But once again, all the variants are as add-ons. So a lot of you guys are backing the High Octane 2 and this Carlo Barberi cover in the add-ons. So then we have this very limited. This is issues 1 and 2 of the High Octane Adventures. So they're not connected. They're both one and dones, but you can get some fun reading out of these things. 22 pages, so they're not quite the same price. So they're 15 each. Oops. And so then we have the main cover with the High Octane. So you guys asked for this. I'm glad you guys suggested it in the chat. This was on the first day. So Pamela and I put this together with a broken computer. Yeah, we scrambled to get this thing up. I had to use her computer, her Photoshop. It was really, last couple of weeks have been really, really tough just getting things done. But we triumphed. We have triumphed. I hope I'm not jinxing anything. So yeah, you guys, this tier is doing very, very well. So then the early birds are still up. You guys are narrowing this down. So we got 17 out of 30. We got a couple backers last couple of days, I think 3 or 4. So the early birds doing well. That's issues 1, 2, and 3 at a discounted price. So we still have a few of those left. We got all the 1, 2s, and 3s are going to be limited because volumes 1 and 2 we overprinted, but we don't have a ton of them. So we're going to have to kind of keep those in a way that we can control how many we sell, so we can keep track of them. So we got 3 of 100. So we still got some of those left. But the jam also, we have the 1 and 2 in there as well. So we have the jam. That's everything. So yeah, grab them all. So we have. Oh, and keep in mind, all the books are have signatures. Pamela and I, both of our signatures come on the covers. So we have we got all the covers A, B, C, and we have High Octane 1 and 2, and we have wait. Yeah, High Octane 1 and 2, and we have the original volume 1 and 2 of black and white, plus that 11 by 17 Juju print. So we have 2 out of 100. So that's pretty cool. And the reason these aren't higher is because we had some of them as early birds. So a lot of the early birds are gone, you guys. They were very limited, and they've mostly been taken and spoken for. So yeah, if you guys still want to save a little bit, you can get this early bird with 1, 2, and 3 on there. So I want to thank you guys for making this a success. I always appreciate everything you do. Just know that I am nothing without you guys. None of this exists without you. And let's play this video one more time just because I do look awesome. For evil to live. Black and white must die. 30 years, you guys. It's a long time. It's a long time to keep a dream alive. All right, you guys. Thank you so very, very much. I'm coming back. I have one other thing that I want to share. I came across this. Have I caught up? New comments. Let me try to catch up first, and then I'll share. Uh, cover B. Cover B is my favorite. Tears of joy. Thank you, Randy. Click that link. Go back a book today. Let's get this thing to 16K by day's end. That would be awesome. Weed and Ridley. Whitley? Oh, there's no sound? Oh, shoot. Okay. When will we see cover D? I am going to I'm going to be dropping this. I got to see a sketch actually this morning. Actually, it was last night before I went to bed. So that was really cool. We got a new, what is that? Ladara? Hi, what's up? A new face in the chat, I should say. So it looks killer. It looks so killer. So I don't know. I'm going to wait and see how it develops and play it by ear. But it will probably be about mid-campaign when I'm going to drop it on you guys. So I'm going to do it as a tier, and I'm going to do it as an add-on. So I'm going to do those two, but I probably won't combo it. So if you guys want, you can add it on later. Or if you want, you can like get the jam and then add that in checkout. It's just kind of how these things work out as they progress. There was sound. I'm sorry, you guys. Let me see. I'm going to try this again. And you guys let me know if the sound is better or not. I gotta work this out. All right, let me see. All right. You guys are my my test. Let's see if this is louder. All right, here we go. Coming back. Let me know. Can you hear it? Sounds fine. Sounds good on my end. So awesome. So far, that's good. How's the Batmobile thing going? That was a fun live stream. You know what? I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Completely honest. Let's just say, in a couple years, let's just say everything goes fine. Health is good. You know, everything is financially in a better place than it is now. Not that we're doing bad, but just in a better place. I might drop 200, 300K on a freaking Batmobile. One of those kit ones, though, I could never afford a full-on Batmobile like that was used, like screen used. Couldn't do it. But I have not abandoned the dream. I have not. And I think if it was a kit, I wouldn't feel as bad like driving it around and shit. But I'll tell you, I would be the hit of the neighborhood if I had that sucker. Yeah, I would show it off. All right, you guys, I was like looking around stuff this morning, and I found this. So Chrono Mechanics has a dedicated website, and as websites go, this was probably, I don't know, 15 years or so ago that me and Taylor set this up. I still think it's pretty cool. By today's standards, maybe not so much, but I'm just really proud of Chrono Mechanics. I think they're great. I loved all the reviews. We had these reviews like they make time travel relatively fun. Einstein, smarty pants, scientist. So we had all these quotes for the book. The book is pure gold. No, I'm serious. How does it end? I touched the damn thing, Midas. Very rich king, hands-on kind of guy. All the knowledge of the universe is in this book. Deep, huh? Just all kinds of really just cool stuff. Let me see. We have the character stuff here. So here's a rundown on. This is why I don't like websites. I don't like that you can't fit the whole thing on the screen, so it looks kind of weird compositionally. You know that time waits for no one, and that time is a fickle mistress. But what you may not know is that time is also a big machine, which was built into the very fabric of the universe. This machine regulates all time and timelines. And like any machine, it suffers from the occasional breakdown. But lucky for mankind, Chrono Inc. was created to monitor, regulate, and repair this machine known as time. Chrono Inc.'s mission is to keep the past, present, and future from going kaflooey. Yes, that's a technical term. To this end, Chrono Inc. employs outstanding individuals from an infinite number of timelines and transforms them into highly skilled time repairmen known as chrono mechanics. Tell me this is not the best concept you've ever heard in your frickin' life. This is chrono mechanics, you guys. So I really want to bring these guys back. I do have a story, and I do have a book that I could reprint. So then we have the characters. What is a mechanic? Simply put, a chrono mechanic is an individual that is hired to repair the machine that is time. Each mechanic has been handpicked by Chrono Inc. and put through a series of rigorous training and exercises. So that is what a mechanic looks like right there. And so then the recruits are taught to maneuver company time ships through perilous time streams, troubleshoot potential time malfunctions, locate time mines, calibrate time jumps, and become proficient in the use of all time tools. They are also taught the potential dangers that a licensed chrono mechanic will most certainly be expected to handle, because only the best of the best can survive the pace and punishment of repairing time. However, all the training in the universe will not instill the dedication, honor, and integrity that must be at the core of every true mechanic. So while many are recruited, few succeed in donning the coveted CMBTS, Chrono Mechanics Body Transformation Suit, which enhances the mechanic's strength and offers an unparalleled level of protection. When training is complete, the new recruits are assigned to a time with 3 other such skilled mechanics that wait in their respective timelines until called for duty. Remember, these guys do more before the dawn of time than most people do all day. Wow, I am so freaking proud of this. So we're focusing on 9 point. What were they called? They were team 9.7, or I forget what they were called. Wow, it's been a long time. But that team is comprised of Oot, Caravaggio, Zinn, and Doug. And so these are the 4. Oh, Team 9.2 of Sector 7. That's what they are. And so then here's all of them together in their core selves and as their mechanic selves. So I did this piece of artwork, believe it or not, for packaging, for toy packaging. We had a toy deal at one point. So this was on the package. So it had like a sander, a torch. It had a drill. I forget what else came with it. Hard hats. And then we get into like what is Chrono Incorporated, the elucidator. So he works at Chrono Incorporated. The foreman, Skippy. We have chronomites. We have Corky. Wow, it looks like there's a little bit of a glitch. And then we have the Quickie Time guys, who are the competitive repair team. So yeah, I thought this was a lot of fun, and I saw this and I thought I'd share it with you guys. I think there's a video. Yeah, there's a video here. This this is before Donald Trump was president. If I tried to pitch this now with this, oh my gosh, I would be crucified. I wouldn't even get through the front door. Prehistoric Donald Trump, whose farts are worse than his bite. It's a Kickstarter. This was the video for the Kickstarter. I love this. I'll tell you, like everybody that saw Chrono in the day absolutely fell in love with it. So I remember I was going to do a project with Orson Scott Card, but that came later. So I was at a convention. Orson Scott came up to the table and was looking at the book, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is so good." And I said, "I'm glad you like it." And so it says, "I fell in love with the work being done by RT Bear's HackCheck Studios. My favorite is Chrono Mechanics." So he did some interview or something. This wasn't solicited. He just did an interview and was talking about something like books, outstanding books or something like that. And so he brought this up. Like I didn't ask him to or anything. So then later he had some short stories because he liked my work and he liked Chrono. So he contacted me. This is before he got into all the trouble. And he said, "I would like you to illustrate these two short stories." And one was, it was like a Beauty and the Beast story, but it was called something else. And there was another one. And he wanted basically a comic book based on those things. So we were in talks actually to do this. He's a great guy. He's funny. He's low key, but he's kind of funny. So yeah, so that's my connection with Orson Scott Card. Ender's Game, wasn't that a movie? Didn't they try to make a movie out of that? So then Bill Ray, who probably hates my guts now because of CG, RT Bear has created a multidimensional time travel world where planes of reality are shuffled like so many cards in the hands of a mad wizard. Bill Ray, director, designer, painter, Ren and Stimpy, and Samurai Jack. And then, of all people, Doug TenNapel. The first rule of comics is not mixing time travel and blue collar screw ups will automatically produce entertainment, fun stuff, and deadly art. Let me read that again. It seemed the first rule of comics is that mixing time travel and blue collar screw ups will automatically produce entertainment. Oh, that's cool. Fun stuff and deadly art. Doug TenNapel, creator of Earthworm Jim, Creature Tech, and Nickelodeon's Cat Scratch. My daughter loved that Cat Scratch cartoon. Doug has his moments, good and bad. So I was really flattered that that Doug, volunteered this. I hope you guys saw that. So, my Twitter is still attached to this feed. That's cool. Yeah. So, Chrono Mechanics. At some point we are going to bring this thing back, but I just thought it was fun to go down memory lane, and I thought maybe you guys would get a kick out of seeing that old video and everything. Chrono Mechanics. It got far up the food chain, man. At Warner Brothers, at Disney, we went in. My partner and I, we went in for a second Disney pitch, and when we went there, one out in the hallway where they have like a bullpen, and in this guy's the art director's office. There were pinups. They actually took panels from the comic book and the cover, and they were posting them up. They were pinning them up in the offices there. So Chrono Mechanics was on a blip at Disney, and at Kids WB. We had a development deal to produce a Bible. So if the Bible went well, then we could go forward with the show. And so we had good people behind it. We had Megan Casey, who is Joe Casey's wife, and she was a big supporter and was pushing this forward. She really, really liked it. And she saw us at San Diego Comic-Con. And so she scheduled everything and made it all happen. So it wasn't even like that we were necessarily, or I was pursuing it at the time. But I did get an agent out of the deal. I signed with Circle of Confusion. They brokered the Matrix deal, and I think they did The Walking Dead. They do a lot of comic book. I think they're Mark Miller and Michael Bendis and those guys. So anyway, things were looking pretty promising with Chrono, and then Kids WB, like Warner Brothers was having trouble financially. They're always having trouble financially. So they basically just dissolved the Kids WB. And I think it went over to Cartoon Network. And then Megan Casey went over to Nickelodeon. So we kept it up for a while. But I mean, for me, it takes so much energy. And all these entities want, these studios, is they want the next idea. What do you got? What do you got? What do you got? And the thing is, I'm not I can do that, but I don't work for you. You're not paying me anything. So I'm just working on spec just so I have the privilege of going to pitch to you on the hopes that something big would happen. Like animation, like TV animation, even at the time, it didn't pay that well. If you went into a second season and you got a toy deal out of it, then there could be money. But up to that point, it's not great money. So they can't even really tempt you with money. You know, I mean, I probably would have made a little bit more money if Chrono was picked up and made into a cartoon, but that first season would have been very touch and go, and until the second season, there really wouldn't be too much money involved. Um, Wreck-It Ralph, actually, my wife and I saw that, and there's that little crossroads area, which is like a train station or something, and then there's that guy that operates it. That is the elucidator. That's our character from Chrono Mechanics. So there were vibes, and then Wreck-It Ralph with the red and like the tunic and stuff, he looks like Oot. So there was a lot of similarities, and then there was the character that repaired stuff. You know, I forget that character's name. So there was a lot of similarities between Chrono, and so I don't know. They say like thievery is, a form of flattery. So, I don't know. I mean, it is what it is. And then I do know this because about the time my agent contacted, I was a big Tenacious D fan. And I, me and the studio, Hack Shack Studios, we knew those guys before they were big, when they were before even like Mr. Show, around that same time, when they were doing small clubs and stuff like that in LA. And so my agent contacted their agent, and I wanted them to do the theme song for the intro to the cartoon. So my thing was like, this is before it was effed out, you guys. I swear to you, holding out for a hero, I wanted them to do in like a Tenacious D style, holding out for a hero to the end of the night, and I thought that would be a fun song to play, at the backdrop of a Chrono Mechanics intro. And so there was correspondence. It didn't happen, but we did send the book to them, all that stuff. And there is proof of that. So then in Chrono Mechanics, there's Lucky Pick. We even made those, and we gave those away for a stretch goal in one of the Chrono campaigns. And so Doug uses the Lucky Pick, and so he's convinced that that's the source of his luck. So Lucky Pick, and then Tenacious D does the Pick of Destiny. I mean, come on, man. And then the music tie-ins, it's like, okay, right? And so then we had this character. At the time, he was a time gremlin. They were called time gremlins. And so when time ships and stuff go through the time stream, if they go in certain areas, there are gremlins. They're infested gremlin areas. And these are like a traditional gremlin, like on a plane. They'll attack it, they'll eat it, they'll destroy it, right? And it'll crash. So they go in, and they're technivores. So they eat technology. So these ships are loaded with technology. So if you go into, a technivore area in the time stream, you may not come out of it. So later we call them chronomites instead of time gremlins, because I thought it was more like Chrono Mechanics. And so that was part of the pitch. That was in the pitch that we sent to Tenacious D. And then they did a video for one of their songs that was attached to the movie. And it had like this time goblin or something like that in it. And he transported them to different timelines or something like that. And I was like, holy shit, we can prove all this stuff. And so I contacted my agent, and he said, yeah, we could sue their pants off and we would probably win. He said, but that movie didn't make any money, and Tenacious D don't make any money. And this was at the time. I don't know where Jack Black is now. He's been doing movies, steadily since. But up to that point, there just wasn't any cash in it. So we never moved it forward. We never sued. So, yeah, you guys, if you want to see the whole video and the whole site, yeah, click on this. Thanks, Randy. I appreciate it. But yeah, that's kind of that's kind of little chrono mechanics tangent. Carbo kind of looks like a dignified Cecil. That's funny. Let's see. Crazy Cat says Amanda B. The art style in chrono mechanics is so much fun. The world is very fun. Yeah. Before I move on to the next plane of existence, I am going to put out another chrono book. What we're going to do is we did overprint some of the last chrono campaign. So what I want to do is I want to do like a garage sale or yard sale, and we're going to do it early next year. So maybe January, February, March, maybe around March, May, somewhere around there. And so the little bit of overprinting we did, we're going to bring those out. So we'll have a bunch of tiers, but they'll be limited. So we're basically everything in the T-Bear vault. We're just going to go through the archives. We're going to go through. We're going to see what we got: patches, pins, trading cards, books, all kinds of stuff. Even like maybe first print run of oodles of doodles with sketches in them. Like all kinds of fun stuff. And they'll be limited to maybe like 10 in this tier, 20 in this tier, 100 in that tier, like whatever we have. And then as we kind of sell out, we'll keep adding new tiers. So I think it'll be a lot of fun. And it might not go into, we might not do it as far as an in demand. We'll just do it as like a 60-day or whatever. And we'll get in and then we'll see how many things we can get to you guys in that amount of time. Let's see. Crazy Cat says Orson Scott Card was canceled by the comics industry before it was Vogue. Yeah, I mean, listen, man, it was his point of view. That's all, man. Don't get crazy. Like, what the fuck? Because he doesn't agree with you, you don't agree with him, that you think then you can destroy somebody. That's why I'm in the culture war, because that's bullshit. Mad RT Bear has the bell to or has a ring to it. Oh, Mad RT Bear has a ring to it. I got it. Time for shout outs. Oh, here we go. Yeah, Nosferatu. How do you say Nosferatu? The Crypt Walker. So this is Shanthan Jetty's new campaign. Go check it out. Back it. We got Clint Helinski, one of my Pontificator brothers, and he's got Blue Bombshell Returns. So check that out. If you like sexy, fun comics, go check that out. Oh, shit. Yeah, we had these. Oh, Cam, you go back. Thank you so much. I never turned in my gold ticket from Chrono Mechanics. That was a great campaign. We launched it about the time where CG was kind of, like Mike and Doug were causing some trouble, and they didn't just leave. They had to say some bad things about everybody, calling, everybody like cultists and stuff like that. And if they wanted to leave, no harm, no foul. Go, you have my blessing. Not everything's for everybody, and some things are good for a short period of time. But I think that campaign would have done better if we weren't right in the middle of a major division between CG. Because, man, not to pat myself on the back, but that was it was a hard fought campaign. And two, I think it was really, really creative. We had a bunch of really cool like stretch goals and stuff like that. And I think the gold ticket, we would put them in like sporadic, like they wouldn't be in every book, but like 1 out of like, I don't know, 10 or 1 out of 20. I forget what it was. I think it was 1 out of 10. So you had a 1 out of 10 chance to get a gold ticket. And if you got a gold ticket, it wasn't just a gold ticket. It was a time card. It was an actual time card that I painstakingly got a model for and then redrew it. And then we looked all over the place for a printer that could print it gold. It was not easy to find. And so we had the card printed gold, And then that was the gold time card. And so what you could do is you could fill out your hours on the time card, and then you could send it to me. And for that time card, I would draw, I believe I would draw in your book. So I would draw one of the characters in your book. So you could turn it in for a drawing. God, that was a really cool campaign. Do. Yes, Aaron back. Wraith of God 3, Electric Boogaloo. All right. Amanda B in the house. How are you? Flatty1. Oh, literally just picked up. Where'd you get it? Where'd you get the book? Picked up Chrono Mechanics and read it this weekend. The Elucidator. Yeah. Arcane. It is the best of any program or movie I've seen in ages. First season took 6 years to make. It is beautiful and fantastic writing. Arcane. I'll check that out. Randy says Jack Black and Tenacious D loves the D after all. Also, Doug was called the D. Jack Black and Tenacious D, the D after all. Jack Black equals Satan's little bobblehead. Bubblehead? Danky Frank says Seinfeld writers would go to LA comedy clubs and steal material. They stole the premise for the Muffin Top episode for one. Wow, that was one of my favorites too, because I only eat the top of the muffins. Yeah, yeah. I don't know. There's a level of sincerity. I met some good people, but at the same time, you know, a lot of people say good things, and then they just don't do them. But I did notice, and maybe it's because I had something that they wanted, which was Chrono. Things were different, so they kind of wanted it. Kids WB wanted it, so I had a mouthpiece to trumpet it and to sell it. So maybe it made it different, going in. But I did notice that last time that I did the Hollywood Shuffle, it was a bit different. And I liked all the people in animation that I met. Just good people. And the one thing about animators is they're a lot more humble than even comic book creators, because they know their place. Or even if they try to exercise some kind of power, they'll be pushed down. Yeah, I'll tell that story at some point. Amanda B says he's showing you who's the boss and telling you that his poo don't stink. Yep. Deathbringer. Why not hiring somebody for Chrono and putting it as an in between so you can breathe after Black and White? It's a very specific style. So I was actually I really like Donald DeLay's style. So I was thinking possibly ask Donald if he has time to do a Chrono story. It would be 48 pages, and I think he has the sensibility to do it. And I do think he's got a pretty broad style of humor and animation, like an animation style that could work. Jack Black sold his soul to Hollywood elite and got his 15 seconds of fame with some of his movies, but now he seems they are cashing in. Watch. Kids Fox was great in the day. They did great adaptation of Big Guy and Rusty, the Boy Robot. They even made the effort to duplicate. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Have Cecil draw it. Actually, Cecil might be able to. Nah, I was gonna say he might be able to write it. I would write it. Pamela and I could write it. That's not even the problem. It's just getting somebody to draw it. If you guys have anybody that you could suggest, that would be great. Joe Bernardo or the next Black and White campaign put a short story of Chrono in with it. We could, but man, I want to do epic adventures, at least 40, 48 pages. Time travel stories. I guess we could do like backup, like human interest stories, like a day in the life of Oot or something like that. But the problem with that is like without context, it doesn't really mean anything. So I think almost like with Chrono, we would have to relaunch it and get it in front of people so they knew what the concept was and who the characters are before I could start really doing like short 8-page stories or something like that. I think once people kind of knew, we could do it. Like with Black and White, we can do like the high octane adventure one and dones because the concept it's more in people's minds and also it's part of the campaign. I don't know. It's something to think about. Even Cecil uses delay. I know, and the book looks great. I'll draw it for you, Art. We'll put together some Chrono Mechanics doodles and see. I'll art for art. Well, let's see, man. If you put something together, I would be inking you though. I gotta say dibs on the Chrono ink style. It is very specific. It's kind of a Mobius style. It's kind of Hanna-Barbera, the best of Hanna-Barbera, and I mean like Alex Toth kind of like cartoon designs meets like rendering style of Mobius. So I thought like it's a pretty interesting combo. Donald is the only other artist who seems like he could pull off Chrono other than yourself, Art. Yeah, you know what? You guys, I'm gonna send him a message and see if he'll do it. Yeah. And I can send him the page, the website. Yeah, there is a double page, I think, or 4 pages of concepts and things like that in Oodles of Doodles. So if you want to see some kind of behind the scenes Chrono Mechanics stuff that you won't find anywhere else, it's in that Oodles book. Yeah. There's some other animation pitches in there as well. I did a bunch of them in the day. So just a real quick story is Marvel fired me for no apparent reason, told me I'd never work there again. It absolutely destroyed me. We just had a little baby girl and I was devastated. Like, how am I going to take care of my family? And so I couldn't handle getting back in the trenches and working for drawing comics or working for DC or anything like that. I had options I could do, but I didn't want to. So my wife and I had a heart-to-heart, and I said, we have some money saved. What if I took a year or 2 off and just created stuff, just IP, and just no real clear destination, just do it, just to do it. Like one of those things that you always have in your brain, like things you want to do, but never have the opportunity to. I was like, I'll provide that for myself. And so she said, sure. And she was completely sincere. There weren't no strings attached or anything. And so then I was like, okay. So Chrono came out of that, Hit came out of that, the Rock and Roll Bots, I had a few others, the Maccabees, which was the Macabres. That's their last names was basically Macabre, and they were like an Addams Family type characters, like family, but they were the Maccabees. I think it was like Meet the Maccabees or something like that. And I had a bunch of, I had one called Kid Everything that was, I was pitching it. I got the inside scoop at Warner Brothers, and they said, what's testing well with kids is with one character that has multiple powers. So this was Megyn Kelly, her husband's Joe Kelly. Think about Ben 10 and think about Kid Everything. So I pitched Kid Everything. And while I was pitching Kid Everything, I saw Duncan Rouleau drawings coming over the desk to Megyn Kelly, or Casey. I'm sorry, Megyn Kelly. And so I was like, oh shit, something's going on here. And so she absolutely loved the concept, but she obviously had this Ben 10 thing on her desk. So I don't know how close we got to anything, but you know, she made it sound like it was a pretty good pitch. And so it's kind of, it was the idea behind Megamind. So it was kind of the kid that deserved to get the superpowers didn't get the superpowers, and the bully got the superpowers instead. So then it was kind of like what was that TV show where that one guy, he's a cop or whatever, a Greatest American Hero, and so that guy kind of helps the hero be the hero. So it's kind of like that. So the kid that could easily be the hero has all the attributes as far as like integrity and understanding and all that stuff. He's not, but the bully is. And the bully is this guy's arch nemesis. So actually, while this beam of power that's going to give this kid the power, this kid that deserves the power is coming right at him. The bully comes up and gives him a wedgie. And so as the kid goes down, the beam hits the bully. And so then the bully gets the power. And so then the kid understands, the good kid understands what just happened. And so then he goes up, and now he's got to convince this bully to not be an evil like villain, that he needs to be the hero. So he can't use the powers for bad. He needs to use the powers for good. So that is the story. That's the crux of the story. I thought it was great. She liked it. And so I had a ton of these things, right? But after a while, you start pitching these things, and then you just start feeling used up, you know? Man, this was a fun stream. I kind of went off on a couple tangents here. We got Psycho Slumber, you guys. Go check that out. Click the link. Phil and his brother putting out some good stuff. Amanda B says the hardest night stream was that? Oh, the hardest? I don't know. Phil, I had to go back and watch. Do you know if he still moves them to members only? Oh, it's kind of an inside question. No wonder I don't get it. Hell, Dave Williams can do the style too. Oh man, Dave would. Oh shit. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. Brohawk is amazing. Yeah, I really dig his style. Very, very original. I'm not trying to cock block anybody. I would never get in the way of a man's penis. Sacrilegious. Kelsey's work, yeah. Kelsey's so freaking good. I wish he would get back in, start showing us his work, and getting in live streams. That would be awesome, man. So yeah, you guys, Black and White. I'm gonna wrap this up. Black and White is doing good. You guys are the best. We're going into, we're starting week 2 right now. So go back, Black and White, Sins of the Father, and keep the lights on here. Most of the time, this money just takes care of business so I can do the next project. And so the next project will be Volume 4 of Black and White, and possibly the next installment of Chrono Mechanics. So yeah, I got a message to send to Donald DeLay and see what his schedule's like. Randy Howe says oodles of doodles. Yeah, you guys, that's in demand right now. So check that out as well. In the description, both links, Black and White Volume 3, Sins of the Father, and Oodles of Doodles and other stuff too. Go check that out. If you like what you see, give it a backing. Thanks, guys, for the hang. I do appreciate it. I will see you tonight on the Kings, if indeed there is a Kings. Hopefully there is. And yeah, guys, thanks again for all the support. Take care and have a great Monday.